Are you ready to get unstuck from being stuck in the middle of a sprint? If so, then stay tuned. Welcome to the Christian Indie Writers Podcast, where we inform, encourage, and support Christian indie writers on their journey toward publication. I'm Jennifer Carl Tong, and I write historical Christian romance.
I'm Christina Catane, and I write Christian fiction.
I'm Jamie Hirschberger. I write short fiction under the pen name J.R. Nichols.
And if you're watching, you just saw me trying to stop myself from sneezing. It came on in the middle of me talking. I'm like, no, Lord, no. So welcome to the podcast. We are so glad to have you here. If you're with us live in the chat, drop something in the comments so that we can see you and can interact with you. If you're listening as a podcast, we appreciate you as well. Please like and subscribe and share this with a friend so we can continue to grow this community of like-minded Christian writers. So today we're going to be talking about, now for those of you that are just tuning in, who may have missed last week's episode, the last 5 minutes, where Jen stupidly said, I think I'm going to do this for the month of November. And within the last 5 minutes of the episode, it became a challenge. We are doing a challenge this month. It's called 30 Days of Writing Sprints Challenge. And we would love to have you join us. It's not too late. You can catch up and it would be fine. If you would like to have more information, head on over to our website, christianindywriters.net. And there is a link at the top of the page that says 30 Days of Writing Sprints Challenge. And join us. So we're going to be talking about writing sprints probably a lot on the podcast for this entire month. And so today, without any further ado, we're going to get into our topic because we have a guest today, and we're bringing back. Catherine's here. Good morning, Catherine. We're bringing back a guest that we've had in the past. Welcome back to. Oh, gotta pull up the bio. Sorry, guys. Welcome back to Elise Seal. Elise is a book coach who helps writers finish their books with confidence. For 5 years, she's worked with writers who are stuck in editing or don't know how to start. She's certified through the Author Accelerator and specializes in helping people see their patterns, prioritize what actually matters, and turn editing from soul-crushing work into something creative and doable. Welcome to the podcast, Elise.
Welcome.
Can you hear us, Elise?
Hey, it's good to be back.
There we are. So Elise is very, there's a little bit of a delay. Okay. So Elise has been very generous with us and has offered to do a few things for this challenge. And we'll get into that at the very end. But we had this idea that we want to talk about sprinting. Now, so let's start. I'm going to start off a little bit, Jamie. Let's talk about what the sprint actually is. Like, what are the rules of this sprint?
Of the sprint
challenge.
The sprint challenge that we're doing is basically set a timer and write. Okay. And you want to do that at least once a day, every day during November. So if you've set a timer and you've written, you have completed the challenge for the day. That's all there is to it, really. But some people want to use this sprint challenge in a way that is productive for their work in progress. Right, Tina?
Right. Because sometimes you just want to free write. Sometimes you just want to see what comes out based on the prompt. But sometimes you are actually working on something specific and you're trying to make progress toward finishing a book or a project.
Right. Mm-hmm. So Jamie, her the way she's approaching the challenge is she's just writing. And that's the exciting part. Like, she's just writing. That was my thing, was I was just going to write. I was going to have no expectations. I was specifically going to write in Marnie's world, which you will see when we share our sprints today, that doesn't always work out. But that I was just going to have fun with it. But unfortunately, the fun of writing for me often turns into the fact that I have these works and it starts to turn into something, not just me actually just, vomiting words on the page. It actually starts to develop into something. And so Elise is going to be here. She's here today to talk with us about when that happens. Sometimes when we're sprinting and we have a bigger goal, not just get words on the page, sometimes we get stuck. And you've written an entire blog post about this. Is that correct, Elise?
Oh,
Oh
I
man,
think
I didn't even hear that.
Okay.
the delay is getting
I'm
us.
having lagging.
Okay, that's fine. We're having some tech issues.
So, try that again.
You've written an entire blog post about when you get stuck while sprinting. And so we were just talking, what you missed was we were just talking about how the challenge is really just sprint and write. No, there's no expectations. Whatever you, as long as you sit down at a computer and write, then you've done that. But sometimes when you're sprinting, actual stories come out of that. And then sometimes there's a little bit of, well, then you get stuck because you are going in a certain direction with your sprint. And so you had talked about, you have a blog post about this, correct?
Yeah, I do. It's like, and I actually wrote the blog post because I was like, November was NaNoWriMo, and you've got thousands of writers just attempting to write 50,000 words in 30 days. And as long as you're writing, it doesn't matter what you write. It's like, I remember a conversation when, like, in this week, when you're like, even if you just, like, if you can't figure out what you want to write and you just write your grocery list. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that might get you unblocked so that you can start if you have a story that you're actually looking to write. But it also doesn't help you like make progress on that story. And I think a lot of people jump into writing sprints and they're just like, I'm going to write. And they don't have any idea of what they're writing. They've got this really vague idea and they're just like, I'm just going to go with it and figure it out as I go. And this blog post is basically like, okay, if you've jumped in that way, and especially for pantsers, people who like you figure it out as they go, that can work. But I am more of a planner. Like, I haven't written a book, but I'm a planner at heart. And so it's like, I really struggle with that. And so I would be like, okay, I'm stuck. What is a quick, like 1 to 5 minute exercise I can do to get me to think that can just get me to that next step?
Ladies, did you just notice that she called me a pantser?
I know, I did notice that.
I don't think anyone in my entire history. So just some background. I'm not. I am a plotter through and through.
She is a hardcore plotter.
Hardcore. I use the writing sprints just to spark ideas. Like I have never been able to write an entire book that way. But I think that brings up a really great point, is that we are all different types of writers and we are all at different stages. Like we have a mom and a daughter duo that show up often in our I'm sorry, I gotta stop. Catherine Carroll says she's speaking it into existence. No, it's never gonna happen. Catherine is more of a
I encourage the plotting.
Yeah.
You guys, before we did this challenge that Jen thought of on Friday night, she had this whole list of questions that she was going to answer with these sprints. Like, she couldn't even not sort of plot the sprints, even though it was supposed to be an exercise in like pantsing. It's not going to happen, everybody.
But we have we have so many different types of writers and people that follow us, including this mother-daughter duo that they homeschool. And I have been chatting with her offline and really encouraging her daughter to do this. She's younger. I said, I don't even care if she writes letters to her grandparents, or just get her in the habit. Like, so for someone like Sadie, maybe getting in the habit of daily writing is what this writing sprint is going to do. Somebody like Jamie, it's going to be giving her an outlet for creativity. She can just be as creative as she wants. There's no like box that she has to be into to finish a project. It's just whatever inspiration hits her, it hits her. For me, because I am a planner, unfortunately, I have to have a little bit of like some help. So for the writers who are like me, that as you sit down to do this challenge, you all of a sudden realize, well, yeah, but there's a project that's looming. And then that pressure maybe might start to block you as you're sprinting. So this is what we're talking about today. And Elise has come up with 6 different things that can happen to you that can block you. And she's going to explain to us, how do we get out of that block? So let's start with the first one. When you hit the, I don't know what happens next wall. That's happened to me. That is definitely when I, as a planner, I'm just sprinting. All of a sudden I'm like, because I'm used to like knowing where I'm headed. So what do you have? What advice do you have, Elise, for those of us that have hit that I don't know what happens next wall?
Well, I actually had a client who was writing a fantasy novel, and it was a woman who was a werewolf. And this wasn't like your typical werewolf story. Like, this was about mental health and the fact that she had PTSD about losing control over her body every month and waking up to discover that, she's killed people. Very heavy stuff.
Wow.
And the thing is, he got stuck and he's like, I don't know what my character would do next. I don't know what should happen next. And so what we had to do is we had to look backwards. And that's exactly what I teach in the blog post. Not only did we look at her, but we looked at the other characters and see kind of how have we gotten here? Because stories follow cause and effect.
Right.
It's like when we introduce like random elements into the story just so that we can get things done, it's like a lot of times that's very jarring. There's like, why did that even happen? And so
then you have to go back in the story and make it make sense, right?
We did not do that. What we did was I was like, okay, like, why are we having trouble like figuring out like what she's going to do next? And we discovered it was because her character was too passive. And we're like, okay, like the reason she was passive made sense. Like, she was just trying to survive and mitigate the damage that was being done by her werewolf self. But I was like, what would cause her to take a more active role? And just by that question, he was like, oh, okay. It's like, so we need her to change to be active. And so what would happen in the story? What would have to happen to her to make that happen? And we were just like, well, the only reason that she would be active is if she discovered that there actually was a way that she could stop killing people. And so
That's
that
handy.
just like brought a ton of ideas up to him and got him flowing again. And then the other thing I asked him was like, okay, how do you want this story to end? Like, very vaguely, like, where does your protagonist end up? Like, it doesn't have to be really specific. And he had like a very vague idea. And I was like, okay, well, here's where you started and here's where you want to end. How is that change going to happen? And that also opened up a lot of ideas for him. And it was just, 1 to 5 minutes, just thinking, like, what's the actual problem? And how would my character react given what has already happened?
All right. Awesome.
Well, I think that I can just kind of support that logic with an improv game we used to play, which was kind of like the fairy tale game, I sort of called it, because we would do this structure. It was once upon a time, and then because of that, because of that, because of that. And it's kind of like you're saying there is a reason behind, like, every action has an opposite reaction. Like, I'm mixing my metaphors here, but I'm just kind of doubling down on your point.
In your blog post, you say sometimes we get so deep into the trees that we forget what the forest looks like. Yeah, that's good. Very good. All right. Problem number 2. When you're whoops, sorry. I skipped ahead. That's for the next topic. Oh my gosh, you guys. I'm getting ahead of myself. The my plot doesn't make sense anymore crisis. The my
Oh,
plot doesn't
no.
make sense anymore crisis. I've been there, even as a planner. Even as a planner, as I'm writing my story, even through sprinting, all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. So how would you help someone with this? What do we have to do for this?
It's like for that one, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. But one of the things that I encourage people to do is like take a step back for 5 minutes and be like, okay, I'm going to write a 50-word plot summary.
Mm-hmm.
And this is who's my main character and what big things happen in the plot and like from beginning to end.
Mm-hmm.
And spoilers are heavily encouraged in this because you're the only one who's going to see it.
Right.
And it just helps you to see like the big things that need to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives you like a tiny timeline to help reorient you. To be like, okay, this is what I want to happen. How do I connect these scenes? And it doesn't fix everything, but at least it gives you that like big picture to help you see where you're going.
Right.
And see where you need to end up.
So I love in your blog post, you have 5 questions to ask yourself if this is what you're going through. Who is your protagonist? What do they want? What is stopping them from getting it? What happens if they fail? And how does the story end? And here's why I love this is because characters matter. If you don't know your characters, your plot's not going to make any sense, right? So you have to know your characters first. And this is something that I have talked about before. I was actually going to do a little video on this and never going to, like, it's been a month. But I love that in order to figure out your plot, you have them go back and figure out the characters, right? I love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I remember when you were coaching me with my story, and so I had these ideas about these other characters, and you kept bringing me back to, but how does that move your main character forward? And how does her plot, her character arc affect them and they affect her? And so that I could pull out like the weeds that were growing out here, I could pull it all in and make it all make sense. And that was really helpful.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, speaking of characters, your third problem, when your character feels like a puppet. What do you mean by that, Elise?
It's basically you're writing a scene and suddenly your character does something that you're like, wait, would they actually do that? And basically your character starts acting out of character.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I actually had this problem with Tina. It's like, I cannot, for the life of me, remember his name. But as I was reading, there was a character that was like, he was like the second in command for like the antagonist of her book.
Mm-hmm.
And he had everything he wanted. He had like power, prestige, money, like all this stuff. And he was sent out to capture the character who had run away from the antagonist.
Pain. And that was his name.
All of a sudden, Pain, yes. And all of a sudden, Pain is helping her to get away. Instead of taking her back to the antagonist. And I'm just like, wait a minute, why in the world would he do this? And it's like, I actually asked Tina this, and she was like, she had this whole backstory on him. And I was like, oh, well, now it makes sense, but it wasn't on the page. And so I was I was thoroughly confused. So sometimes you actually know why they are acting the way they are, but it's not on the page. And so you have to get it on there.
Yeah, and I think that all writers can be a little bit guilty of this, especially if you're like me and you hate reading through what you feel are unnecessary descriptions, and you might withhold information from the reader that they need because you're trying very hard not to over-explain things, not to patronize your reader. But if you don't tell them If you don't tell them what you know, then they can't follow along the logic that you are trying to like present.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really hard to make yourself do what feels like over explaining, but to the reader, it really isn't.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And so what I always like, the quick tip that I always give people is like, okay, your character always needs two things to feel real. There's the external goal, which is the plot thing that they are trying to achieve. And then there's the internal goal, which is like the emotional thing that they're actually searching for, even if they don't know it.
Awesome.
And having
All right.
at least a vague idea of that really helps.
All right. Our next problem is you've written yourself into a corner. What do you mean by that? The dreaded corner.
I've done that. Yeah.
It's like, this is like, let me give the example that I gave in the blog post. It's like you've got people up in the mountains and they don't have self-service. But in like halfway through the book, all of a sudden they need to call for help. And you actually need them to be able to call for help. And you're just like, oh shoot. Like, I totally wrote that rule in there that they can't. And it's like, there's two ways you can do it. You can either be like, okay, I'm going to figure out a way that they can make it through the story without cell service. Or another thing you can do, since you are sprinting and you don't necessarily want to go back and do a bunch of editing, you can write a note to yourself and be like, hey, I changed my mind. They do have self-service, so they can call for help. Or like, they do have self-service, but only enough for like text messages.
Or only on a
And
certain
you
mountain
can have
peak
that note
that they
in
have to
there.
climb up.
That way. Exactly. And then, so what you can do is you can put that note in and you can write as if you didn't have that rule. And then later, when you're in the editing phase, then you can go back and be like, all right, I will rewrite this part later.
And
But
here's
that
the
way
beauty
you
of
don't stop your momentum and have to go back and do a ton of editing.
right. And here's the beauty of sprinting. You have like 2 or 3 ideas of how you could work this out. Sprint each one of them. Set a timer and sprint them being able to like do it without phone service, and then sprint it with them having to climb a mountain to get better service, and and then see which one sticks with you. Like that's the beauty of sprinting, is it just kind of unlocks something in us. It's just like there's freedom in sprinting because there's no like you don't have to use what you just wrote, but you're getting it out there out of your head, right, and onto paper. So, right, that's awesome. Love that. All right.
Yeah, and it's like the one thing that I would encourage with that is like I would kind of label them. These are options for this part. That way you don't have all 3 and all of a sudden when you come to editing you're like, oh shoot, like what did I do here?
Right. I have started labeling my sprints for this challenge in a certain way that I think I'm going to share next week. I don't want to get into the weeds this week, but yes, labeling is very, very important.
Nice.
Okay. What about when everything feels boring? I never had that problem. My writing's always great. It's always
actually ran into this problem I ran into this problem like last night when we were doing our sprint, because like I was writing a scene because we had those 5 words. I'm trying to write a scene and like nothing happened in this scene. And so it was so boring. I was like, oh my goodness. So it's like, this one takes a little bit of thought, and it is, okay, if there's nothing much happening or it's just too boring, I say raise the stakes or introduce an obstacle or making something harder. Because the reason that your scene is boring is because there is no conflict or there's no meaningful conflict.
Right. Agreed. Also with sprinting, because what in the challenge we're only doing 15-minute sprints because that's what we do here on Fridays. And for those of you who know, in general, I like 25-minute sprints. I think we've all like talked about that before, but we do 15 minutes because if you do a 25-minute sprint, your sprint is longer and it's too long for us to share and fit into our about our podcast, right? So sometimes I feel like it's just not it's just boring, but it's because I've only had 15 minutes and I haven't developed it enough. I haven't gone far enough into it. But there's also been times that I felt like it was boring. Like you go back and watch us. Any of our episodes will be like, well, those were words. Like that one. And then we share and everyone's like, oh my gosh. And then they point out things that we did that we didn't realize we were doing. And so that's the other thing too, is like, yeah, sometimes it's boring or you feel like it's boring. Maybe you just haven't given it enough breathing space yet. But if you have, then do these suggestions.
And if you're like me and like the new and the shiny gets you excited, but you've daydreamed what you're going to write beforehand, which we don't do with sprints. But I've run into this problem where sometimes my best writing comes after I've daydreamed like 5 different scenarios, and then I sit down to write it. But that's not new and shiny anymore.
Right. This is why plotting is problematic for some people. Yeah.
This is why I get bored with my own story. Because it feels like a rerun. Like you could ask my husband when he puts a rerun on. My husband lives on reruns. I put on headphones to drown it out because I can't stand it. And I'm not even the one watching it because like I need new and shiny, and so that is like a big problem for me.
I hear you.
So here is my problem. The last thing we're going to talk about today. This is my biggest problem: the paradox of too many good ideas. Every sprint brings out a new. I have a backlog of stories that I can't wait to write, and I don't know that in my lifetime I'm ever going to get to them. How do we solve this problem?
All right. So it's like that is a problem, but where I go with this one is because I actually have a lot of authors like you, Jen. And what I do is like when you're at that point where you're like, okay, the story could go this way or this way or this way. What I encourage them to do is I'm like, okay, let's work out like the next scene for each of those. Kind of like we did for, what was it? When you write yourself into a corner and you have to figure out how to fix your problem. It's like what I tell people to do is, okay, you don't have to write the entire scene, but how about 3 to 5 bullet points showing where that path would lead. And then you ask yourself honestly, it's like, which one's your favorite? And then which one creates more conflict and like meaningful conflict? Like which challenges my character more? And which moves me closer to my story's theme? And I know we haven't really touched on theme, and like that can open a big can of worms, especially for me. But your theme is kind of like the golden thread that goes through the entire book of like what you want to say, what point you're trying to prove through the story, and conflict and how your character overcomes that conflict a lot of times helps prove that point that you are trying to make.
Good stuff, Elise. I really
and
appreciate
that's the quickest
you
way
sharing.
I'm going to say it.
Yeah. Really appreciate you coming on the podcast and sharing all this with us. We also appreciate you partnering with us in this challenge, what we're calling to be our first sponsor for the 30 Days Writing Challenge, for our first ever one. Elise, why don't you share with our listeners what you are offering to those that are in the challenge?
It's like, well, I'm joining every day as much as possible. Like I won't be there tonight because we've got family dinner, but I'm joining as much as possible just so I can hear, because I really enjoy when you guys share your writing.
But I will let's give a shout out really quick to Teresa, who actually shared writing last night. She did a feeding in the backs, and we were so excited.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, go ahead, Elise.
And it was so good. I was so proud of her.
Mm-hmm.
It was.
But on Saturday mornings, so after we sprint, what we're going to do is we're going to have about a 45-minute Q&A of just like, hey, like, this is where I'm stuck, or I need to brainstorm a little bit about my story, and we're just going to workshop it right there and then. Because the worst part of a sprint is like when you hit a wall, you are stuck and you can't move past it.
Right. So to be clear, anybody at who you can join this challenge for free. And there's a place on our website where you can just put it. But if you want to partner with us at least the $5 level on Patreon, you can join us in our live writing sprints every day. You get a writing prompt with us, which is going to be part of our next book that we release. And Elise is offering that once a week, she's going to do a live Q&A from a book coach for anyone who wants to show up and wants to present some of their problems or ask some questions. That's for literally less than a coffee at Starbucks. You can do this with us.
It's an amazing offer. And you can then see if maybe what Elise has to offer can help you in the other months of the year, not just November. I think of it like when you're walking through the mall and they give you a piece of chicken on a toothpick so you can taste it to see if you want to get a plate full. And this is a way for you to try Elise's coaching style on for size. So we encourage you to join us because, as Jen said, it's a remarkable value.
Yes. And we have to go quick. I'm sorry, because we're running out of time. Also, if anyone who completes the challenge, she's offering anyone who completes the challenge in the Patreon. Is that correct? The 30% off. I just want to make sure I do this correctly. Is that correct, Elise?
Yeah.
Okay. So anyone who completes the challenge will get a coupon that is 30% off of a book coaching package with Elise, which is amazing. Wow. And on top of that, everyone who completes the challenge, your names are going to be thrown in a virtual hat, and one name is going to be pulled for a free 15,000 word evaluation with Elise. So she'll give you the whole book coach treatment for free. So you definitely, if you have not joined yet, it's not too late. Jump on over to our website and join the challenge. And if you are joining late, please email us, which you can also do on our website, to let us know so that we can make the adjustments in the document so that we know that you've joined, because we want everyone else to be able to also participate in this. Elise, we appreciate you for being a friend of the podcast, as well as partnering with us with this last minute challenge that is turning out to be really awesome. It's turning out really great. Thanks again so much, Elise.
Thanks, Elise.
I am absolutely loving it. I'm glad I jumped in.
All right, it's awesome. Elise, we didn't ask you. I don't think we asked you. Are you sharing writing today? Are you?
I was going to, but because like my computer just seems to be having a ton of problems, I don't think I will.
Okay, that's fine.
Of all the tech issues I'm having.
You gonna stick around and listen?
Yeah, I'll sit around and listen. Right, I love it.
Well, now it's time for our feeding of the backs, which it's our favorite time of the day. And Jamie, I'm going to start with you. What was our last note? We did not sprint this morning. We sprinted last night in the group. So the sprint prompt that we used, everyone who showed up last night did it as well. So if you showed up last night and you sprinted, we would love for you to go to the Facebook page and share it so that everyone else can see it. But Jamie, what was our sprint prompt? And then please share us with us what you wrote.
Okay, last night or today's prompt is 5 words, and the words you want to try to include those in your sprint. That's the challenge. The words are shadow, garden, letter, cross, and dawn. I hate what I wrote, and it's super duper short, but whatever I wrote yesterday. So yay me. Okay. In the shadow of the cross, I walked to the garden alone. Old rugged cross. Okay, we have enough hymns. No such thing as enough hymns. I mean it, Cheryl. I mean, Mom wasn't even that religious. How about we mix in some variety? What did you have in mind? I don't know, maybe a little Motown? We are choosing music for a funeral, not a dance at the diner. But Mom really liked Motown. Here, I picked up a record and tossed it onto the pile Cheryl had made. The Four Seasons. They did a song called Dawn. It's good. You should check it out. Mom always liked it because of the title. I don't have any good songs named after me, Cheryl whined. I don't either. Why is that? I don't know. I remember singing in a chorus one time with this woman named Gloria and wondered what it must have been like for her as a kid around Christmas time, with just about every other song seeming to have been written just for you. That sounds divine. She hated it. What? You heard me. She said she especially hated that one song that made her name like 11 syllables long. Oh my word, that is my favorite Christmas song ever. I know. And that's all that I got. It just was done.
So good. I love it.
I
Raise
love
your
it,
hand if
Cheryl.
you counted how many syllables it actually was. Way more than 11. That's awesome, Jamie.
I
Oh my
was
gosh.
hearing that song in my head from the minute she said it.
Yes,
She
it's
said the lady named Gloria had a song after her, and I was like, "Ah."
Yeah, that's the one.
And I can't sing, but I was in my head, I was singing. Yeah, it was fun, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I don't know. I had a funeral on my mind from the previous sprint, and I think I just was stuck in funeral mode. And then like I said, I forgot that was going to be our reading for today. So I didn't make any effort at all to beginning it, end it, nothing. So.
No, I love it.
Oh, well.
I enjoyed it.
And last night when we were sprinting, you're like, oh, I forgot we're sharing these tomorrow. Oh, this is not even good. I think it's great. I love it.
Oh, I
wouldn't change
appreciate
anything.
that.
Yeah. All right, I will
What
go
do you got,
next.
Jen? Mm-hmm.
And so same words, obviously. I used all of them. No, I used all of them. So I might have cheated a little bit and took an extra 30 seconds to get the last one in. But
You're
I got
knowing
all
that Piper will call you out if you don't confess.
Oh, yeah. Because Piper, who's not here in the chat today, was there last night. And she's like, man, I only had 3 words left. And I would have gotten the last word in. I'm like, go do it. She's like, no, the timer went off. Like, she refused.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just took an extra 30 seconds. She's like, oh, like she was just
I know.
appalled.
She said, I saw you.
I did the same thing, and you could tell on my last line that I just cut it off and like finished it and hit a period in the last like 20 seconds after the timer went off.
One of these times, I'm just going to like load up the last sentence with like, let her cross dawn, period. Like just to get it. One of these times I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, again, you remember, I'm supposed to be sprinting in Marnie's world because this is going to be fun, right? No, Widows of the West 2 is what came out last night. Charlotte had no idea how long she'd been bent over the garden picking weeds, but she had begun the chore just after dawn, and now the sun had moved to nearly overhead of where she crouched. She tried to not think about how time it was passing. I should say had passed, or about how many rows were left to manage. If she gave it much thought, she might just give up entirely and throw herself across the bed that didn't belong to her in a room that resembled nothing at all like home. So when a shadow fell across her and the row she was currently attacking, giving her some much needed relief from the midday sun, she gratefully took a break. But when she looked up and saw who had walked up and created the shadow, her gratitude faded quickly. Oh, it's you, she said without any attempt at civility. Shane smirked. Who were you hoping for? He crouched down next to her, bringing himself eye level with her. You're still not holding out hope for a certain rancher you came chasing after, are you? On the surface, Charlotte didn't so much as blink at the reference. She wasn't about to let this man or anyone know how entirely humiliated she was after being cast aside by Cade McDaniel. She had lost everything had done the only thing she knew to do to save both herself and her daughter. Throw herself at the mercy of her former beau and the brother to her late husband. How was she to know that he had gone and fell in love with another woman? I wasn't hoping for Cade, she said icily. I was just hoping for anyone but you. A look of something, maybe disdain, crossed his face. Then the foreman laughed. Whatever you say, princess. He stood back up and handed her an envelope. A letter came for you. That's the only reason I'm even coming near you. 3, 2, 1. Well, actually, a few extra seconds. So
I love that. That like so much.
I love
like,
the sass.
Yeah, and so much like relationship tension going on there, like between both of them, that you just know they're going to end up together. Like even if I didn't know this was a
Exactly.
romance, I would know they were going to end up together.
I just can't write anything but right.
Here's the thing, you're tapping into a latent, I didn't realize that I had this taming of the shrew fantasy to where I could just be the biggest what ever on earth, and some guy just find that absolutely adorable and irresistible, because it's like you feel like you get more flies with honey than vinegar, and you got to be sweet and whatever. I would so much rather just be the nastiest gremlin ever and have someone be like, "Aw,
Taming of the Shrew.
Precious."
Taming of the Shrew. As soon as you said that, I'm like Much Ado About Nothing. Like my favorite Shakespeare of all time. So yeah, same thing. Oh, I love that. That's all. But to kind of go back to the podcast episode, there's already a problem. There's already issues I know that I have to fix. The fact that she's already in there weeding, but yet clearly the way they're talking and her thoughts about the bed, the house is not hers, blah blah. It's early on in the story, but yet her character hasn't developed enough to where she would be doing manual labor, right? So, but I still like what I wrote, and it just will take a little bit of changing. So anyway, I love scripting. I love it. Thanks,
Unless she has like a quirk about her where weeding does some kind of relaxing, like, you know what I'm saying? Maybe she used to secretly weed when she was a fancy lady and she never told anybody. Like, Yeah.
She had a secret relationship with one of the slaves that she was very, very close to. So yes, but I have to make sure I set that up beforehand. Remember, we got to look back, which is what we talked about in the episode. Instead of looking forward, you have to look back and see. Yep. So
Awesome.
Love it.
Awesome. All right, Tina, your turn.
Okay, this isn't in anything that I'm writing currently. It's just, but I did go north with it. So
go north.
Yeah,
not south.
North. Yeah.
Okay.
In the shadow of your wings, I find my refuge. Mama's voice rang out in the cozy firelit cabin, her needles keeping time with her song as she knit. The baby sighed against my neck, his breath warm and moist. I put my cheek on his head, feeling its softness and relishing these moments with my little brother. Grandma's chair creaked along to the beat, and her needles clicked out a strange harmony. It was quiet tonight, with all the men gone hunting. They'd left before dawn. Grandpa with his old rifle with its weathered stock, Papa with his crossbow, and Jimmy mushing the sled. Jimmy was the sensitive type, Grandma always said. Didn't like to do the killing of creatures, but sure didn't mind the eating of them. Didn't mean he couldn't do his part. Caring for the dogs, the mushing, and the upkeep of the sleds was important work too. Sometimes Robin felt envious of Jimmy, getting to go out on adventures in the woods while she was stuck at home minding the garden, washing the dishes, and darning socks. But nights like this, quiet nights, when the older women were busy at their knitting, making sure everybody had warm things for their heads, hands, and feet before the dark came and the temperature plunged, nights when all that was expected of her was to hold the baby, rock him, and change his nappies. She closed her eyes and lost herself in the current musings of her imagination, riding a dragon through a sea blue sky, landing on a jagged mountain peak, and looking down on the world of their domain. The heat of the room, the rocking of the chair, the warmth of the baby, and the soft sounds of Mama's voice must be to blame, because the next thing she knew, Mama was lifting the baby off her and shooing her to bed. Robin rubbed at the sleep in her eyes and stumbled over her to her bed, falling easily back into her dragon dreams.
I love that so much. Just the right amount of description. I've always said that about your writing, Tina. It's like never overly described, but just enough. So great. I love the harmony of the knitting needles. And I love that she wished she could have adventures, but sometimes she was able to just settle for good enough or what she had. So yeah, that is so much in just a little piece. I loved it.
Thank you.
My favorite part was, and I was going to try to memorize it, but it's hard when you hear it for the first time, was with the warm fire, like where she's starting to fall asleep, but where you just describe what's happening around her. And it just, you I don't, for some reason, when you wrote that, it just felt so comforting The whole thing felt comforting. And then when you said that, like, mama would pull the baby off, of course she did. Like, you led us into sleep just by the way you described that. And I thought that was well done, Tina. Love it.
Thank you.
So,
And if you've ever had a sleeping baby
I feel like
off you, you feel the cold rushing in to where that baby used to be.
Yeah.
Sorry, Elise.
I was gonna say, I feel like you got your inspiration from Jamie last night from holding the baby while we were sprinting.
Yeah, exactly. I even said that last night. I said Jamie inspired my sprint. So she was holding her little baby.
I enjoyed it so much that I almost am like, let's just meet up on Thursday nights and sprint for Friday and forget the early morning sprints. Like, I don't know. For this month, for sure, we're doing that. So, all right, ladies, what's next? Jamie, what's next for you?
Oh, back to work. I had last weekend off of my server job and I had the Friday off. So I had like 3 whole days where nobody expected me to show up somewhere. It felt so weird. I kept going, thinking I was late for something or committed to be somewhere, and I wasn't. But anyway, back to the old grindstone. And I'm writing this month. How do you like that? Thanks to somebody who randomly threw a challenge on my calendar, and I do appreciate it. I'm really enjoying it. Thanks for the inspiration. How about you, Jen? What's next? What's up?
Well, we're going to be writing tonight at 8 p.m. And so I've got some other editing I want to try to get done today, but I'm definitely taking a nap this afternoon, 100%. I've not been feeling the best. The ladies know that. And I just need to take a nap. And I want to show up tonight, but not just show up like this, like I have been. I want to show up excited. And honestly, listening to Teresa share her writing last night jazzed me up like nothing else. So please join us in this challenge. It is great. And even if you don't want to join on the Patreon, join the other way that you can through the website, and then come to the Facebook group and share what you wrote. It's just very exciting for us to hear other people's writing. You guys listen to us drone on and on all the time. Let's let you guys listen or share for a little bit. Elise, what's next for you? You're here. Why don't you share with us?
So the kids have today for school off. So grandma's coming at 11. And then I'll be writing an email to my audience to be like, hey, like, this is what this week has been like in the challenge. Come join us.
Yep, amazing. That's awesome.
Yay, the more the merrier.
Yeah, we appreciate that. All right, Tina, what's next for you?
Well, there's this book that I have. I'm high context, so I have to give you this context.
Okay.
I have this book called Sitting at the Feet of Rabbi Jesus.
Okay.
And in that book, I think it's chapter 3, is called Get Yourself Some Haverim. And this is a Hebrew word that means it's a friend that the root word actually means to hem and to haw. So you like debate the scriptures together and you like deal with them and you maybe even argue about them a little bit. And so I am going on a retreat, not a retreat. I'm going to a conference. I'm leaving this afternoon. It's only about an hour away, but I get to spend this whole conference with my number one Haverim and another lady. So it's just going to be great. Like, we're going to be nerding out on God's word the whole time. It's just I love that. Like, I don't even know. I'm so excited.
I'm excited for you.
Yeah, me too.
So that's
all right
for me.
Well, hopefully everybody is sprinting along with us. Again, please like and subscribe, share everything. And until next week, may your pen be prolific and may your deadlines be met. May all your words honor Christ. Bye, everyone.